Joyfully Empowered is about feeling uplifted, inspired, and connected to your intuition. This is the place where dreams are possible, cups are half full, and community is solid. Topics include spirituality, leadership, feminine wealth, intuition, manifestation, and our sacred work. This is where bold self starters come to refill their je ne sais quoi to continue spreading a little magic to the world. I am Stephanie Verchot, your host, a spicy Latina mom, and I am relentless about supporting people achieving their dreams, following their intuition, while igniting their feminine wealth. Welcome to Joyfully Empowered, my friends. Let's dive into today's episode. So, let me start with a couple of updates because that's always fun, to do a little catch up, checking in. Let's see, where do I want to start? So, the focus for this episode today, and that's a great place to start, is one of the pillars of feminine wealth, which is creativity and expression. And how do we tap in and ignite creativity and self expression and any kind of expression when it comes to wealth, when it comes to success and aliveness within us, right? And so within that pillar, I want to talk a little bit about today in today's episode how to ignite creativity when you're feeling disconnected. What can you do to begin to take daily actions and daily steps no matter what? I'm also going to talk about how to nourish your creativity and then ways of being creative that are a little bit less common, but you could be pleasantly surprised, right? And as we are wrapping up or as we're starting the episode and as we wrap up the episode, I want to invite you to join me inside the Feminine Wealth Collective, which is my monthly membership where we are supporting you to follow your intuition, stay accountable for your goals, and really ignite the feminine wealth within you. And leading with feminine wealth means that you're leading a life of creativity and intuition, but you're also bringing wealth into your life. And wealth is, yes, as in financial freedom, but there are 8 pillars of feminine wealth. And wealth is creativity, relationships, intimacy, vitality, health, impact in the community, right? Like, how are you nourishing all those pillars in your life to be fully ignited and tapped into your feminine wealth? Because when we're connected and we're living life from that place, trust me when I say this, everything else begins to pour in and you are fulfilled from within. You become this irresistible, magnetic human being that is attracting all of these incredible opportunities and experiences into your life because you're tapped in, connected, aligned with the core of who you are. And isn't that life what it is all supposed to be about? So as I was deciding to focus on creativity and expression as one of the pillars for our conversation today, it's because I'm in this place right now in this chapter in this journey where I'm truly holding both grief and challenge and fear as much as I'm holding joy and pleasure and expansion and wealth. Like, I am in awe. And if it wasn't for the creativity that I currently have in my life, that's sort of like a constant, like it's pouring into my cup, I think it would be a lot harder to hold both of those things. And I've been this journey of learning how to hold both grief and love. And that journey started for me 5 years ago when I had the miscarriage with my sweet daughter, angel daughter, Nina. And that really taught me that we can be in a place where we are really sad and going through a really hard challenge and also being able to like experience and enjoy the magic of life. And like any cycle and any like as things continue to evolve from there, I've learned that capacity to hold such contrasting emotions, like the better I get at it, the more capacity I have to hold both, the more capacity I have to experience life so much more rich, enriched and fulfilled, because life is always going to be that way. So you could be talking to like the Dalai Lama and Mother Teresa, whoever the happiest, most joyful person you know how to be. Me, a lot of people, consider me to be that person in their lives. It doesn't restrict me or prevent me or like, what's the word? Like, shield. It doesn't shield me from experiencing like really deep challenges. But in my genius of what I do and who I am is really increasing my window of resiliency, which is learning how to hold both the really hard and the really, really joyful. And that's the current experience in my life, right? Some of it is super private. So even though this podcast is, an open door into my life and the things that I do, the things that I'm experiencing with right now are with people close in my life. And, it's also their story to tell, but it's deeply impacting and affecting me. So as I'm holding that grief and that pain, that's very much part of my life. How do I still continue to show up for myself? Right. So as I've been doing this practice. So let's like jump in, and I'll start with this awesome example from this week, and I'll link this into the show notes. So I started this 40-day ritual, right? This 40-day ritual that I'm learning from one of the energy workers that I work with, Julia. She's incredible. And it's based on this three parts of quantum leaping, right? Which includes creation. What are you creating in your life? Elimination, like what are you eliminating, getting rid of? And then neutralizing. What are you reorganizing and creating neutral space in your life, right? So then I created a 40-day ritual where I am creating, which I'm currently creating a lot. So that part is almost taken care of. Elimination, which is getting rid of social media, right? I am posting on social media, but I'm not consuming. Although every once in a while, every couple of days, I'd find myself scrolling. I'm like, wait, this is not me. So maybe I've been doing like 5 minutes a day, a minute a day, then I catch myself, but that's elimination. And then neutralize, which is really spending time with zero consumption, right? This isn't like, oh, I'm walking to my office and I'm listening to a podcast. No. It's like zero consumption, and really allowing this like empty space in my beingness to begin to reorganize, to shift, to process, to synthesize everything that's going on in life. And it's such an important part of creation and quantum leaping. So as I've created this 40-day ritual and I'm on day, I think 12, I have a little notes on my phone. And part of this is I've also been incorporating meditation, which is a way for me to connect with my higher self and feel really connected to the universe. And then body movement, because, our bodies are a channel. And if we are full of health and vitality, which by the way, it's another pillar under the feminine wealth wheel, then we are fully in alignment with life, right? So I've been working out every day, whether it's 10 minutes or 45 minutes. I've been meditating every day. I've been having this like neutral space. I haven't been on social media. And I'm beginning to kind of be a little sleuth, and investigate and be like, okay, what, like staying curious in the process. And one of my goals in this 40 days is wealth related, right? So along with the 40 days, there is these three questions that I ask myself, which are, what do I need to do today? What is one action that I need to do today that it's moving towards that goal, right? And I'm taking responsibility. What is one thing that I can learn from today that's supporting me in my growth of achieving my goal? And what's one thing that I can ask the universe and be like, hey, so I need your help in this. I'm going to give it to you. And Abraham Hicks talks a lot about this, about like, you can get a sheet of paper and you do a line in the middle. And on the left is, you're responsible as a human being for being all these things. And then the part of the right of the sheet, you're writing all the things that you're delegating to the universe, right? So it's a little bit of that. Okay, cool. So one of the days last week, I was having a really hard day and I said, I'm doing my things. I took action. I'm aware of what I'm learning. And I said, listen, God, universe, angels, everything, of that higher good and all the magic in the world, like, I need your help. All right. I need you to show up there in this area of my life. Like, I need your help. And not demanding or like what's that word, or entitled, right? But it's a little bit like you would tell a friend, you know what, like you need to pick up your phone when I'm calling you. I need you and I'm here for you anytime like you need anything. Now I need you to answer my phone. I need you to answer my text. I need you to be here. I need you to come over. Right? That kind of like, listen, where are you at? So then the next day, I am browsing because I'm cleaning up all my money things, which I highly suggest. Look, if I'm going to be leading a program called the Feminine Wealth Collective, you better believe that I'm going to be doing the homework and cleaning my side of the street so I can become the most empowered and aligned and walking the talk behind feminine wealth, both like financially, creatively, in my vitality, in my health, in all the things and how I'm showing up, right? So part of this work is financial freedom. And I have a 401k from, when I worked in corporate for so many years. I have multiple 401ks and they've all been rolled over into this one account. So I come across this thing though, kind of out of nowhere, where it's this software that scouts the internet on all of your 401k funds. And if anything has been unclaimed, and it tells you about it. So I'm like, you know what? I worked for a good amount of companies for about like 13 years. They were not all part of the same like 401k plan. So let me pay $20. It's like 19.99 and see if I have any unclaimed money. So it gives me a list. I do the thing, it gives me a list. I'll link this company in the show notes because it was worth the $20. Even if you don't have any funds, it's worth doing the homework because most likely you're going to have funds. So it gave me 6 companies. I called like the first 2 and I was like, hey, here's my social, here's my name. I'm cleaning up my money. I want to make sure that I don't have any funds. We looked it up. You don't have any funds. The account has been terminated. Everything is clear and organized. Great. I call this third company. Here's my social. Here's my name. She's asking me all the security questions. And then she goes, oh, yeah, you have funds. I'm like, oh, great. Thinking it's going to be like, I don't know, less than $1,000, which is still great. She goes, you have $33,767. I will like never forget that number. I like almost fell out of my chair. I was like, excuse me, are you sure it's me, the right? She's like, yes, yes, yes. I was like laughing. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I believe that, so I'm going to roll it over to my current account so they can all be tidied and all together. So I discovered in one day that I had these $33,000 of unclaimed funds that are supporting me when I retire, which should all be saving money for a retirement. It was amazing. And then the next day, I speak to a client, this client that we've been meaning to work together. We've known each other for a really long time. And we're in the process of closing a multiple 5-figure deal for like a 6-month project we're going to do together. So in the span of 48 hours, I basically brought in over $75,000, give or take. That is major. And that's what I want to talk to you today within creativity and self expression when it comes to feminine wealth. Because even though these are very much hard cash dollar amount, I believe that a big part of this has to do with creativity and self expression, right? I think this feminine wealth that I'm going to keep talking about probably for the rest of my life, it is absolutely part of financial freedom and like financial tangible money in the bank sort of wealth. But it's also about living life fully integrated as a human, right? That means having hard conversations, balancing the grief and the joy, having health and vitality and nourishing your body so you're fully aligned and taking care of you are, right? Your relationships and intimacy and being able to speak your truth and your authenticity and things that are all part of feminine wealth. And most of the time we're focusing on 1 or 2 things, but we're not looking at the whole pie, right? And that's why I want you to, as soon as you're listening to this episode, enroll in the Feminine Wealth Collective, right? It's $88 a month, and you get access to the 8 pillars of feminine wealth. And every month, we're going to go live on a call together. You're going to explore a pillar. You're going to get to dive in and live in that pillar and clean up your pillar and maybe call 401ks or call bank accounts or start a hobby. And little by little, your life will begin to fully transform, right? And as I was saying that, like, oh yeah, in a matter of 48 hours, I had almost like a $75,000 day or 48 hours. One of it was for my future self, and the other one was tangible. It's not a coincidence that it's so aligned with the work that I'm doing and the commitment that I have to myself, my 40-day ritual, the feminine wealth, and all of these pillars. So let's dive into creativity and why creativity is such a huge component of feminine wealth and being aligned with being ambitious, being bold, being a self-starter. So I first kind of want to start with how do you ignite creativity when you're feeling disconnected, right? Like I've been talking to so many clients this week and friends and even myself that the current state of the world, man, it can be such a like a sucker. Like it sucks your creativity away because it's heavy. There's so many things changing, so many things that it feels like it's out of our control. And I think it starts with like understanding where you're feeling disconnected, right? So for me, when I think about the state of the world, there are a lot of things that I personally feel I can't control, and there's nothing that I do will make that big of an impact. I know that ultimately this isn't the truth, but this is how it feels right now. So if I hang on to that, I'm going to be totally disconnected from my creativity. I'm going to be totally disconnected from my intuition, from like what makes me feel alive. It's just going to be like, right? So I have to gently shift my focus to where can I make a difference today? I can make a difference in how I'm showing up for my family. I can make like by having more patience or being home and being present, putting my phone away. I can make a difference by how I'm showing up for my clients. How do I support them in the goals and achieving what they want to achieve? I can make a difference on how I'm showing up for my body and how I'm nourishing myself and the things that I'm eating and the movements that I'm doing. I've been doing Pilates at home, and it's so wild because not too long ago, not maybe less than like, let's say, maybe this has changed within the last like no, probably, yeah, 4 years since I gave birth. I probably used to work out with such a goal of looking a certain way, right? Which I'm sure we've all gone through at one stage or another. Now my workouts are so connected to my vitality and how I want to feel and how I want to like support my spine and stretch out my legs and like strengthen my booty, because I know that's what supports my body and like stretch out my feet and all of these things that are so connected to my vitality. So I can make a difference in how I show up for my body. I can make a difference how I'm having conversations. Like I'm currently like a little bit of like a with somebody in my life, and I texted her and I was like, "Listen, can we connect next week?" Like it's like I could ignore it maybe for a few more weeks, but it's like that having that like pebble of sorts in my spirit, knowing that there's like a little bit of a pass, or what is it, like a weird place with somebody that we're not like super friends and super close, but we are in contact with each other pretty often, um clear that up, clear the air and be honest and all those things, that I can make a difference, and that makes me feel already creative. So if you first find out like, why am I feeling disconnected, and then you ask yourself, well, where can I feel connected, where do I feel that I can make an impact, right? A few things to reconnect is, and these are like the top maybe four, and they're so simple, and it doesn't mean that they don't work. You just have to try what works for you. So, journaling for some of us, like I started journaling again, and sometimes it's like 10 minutes in the morning and it's like free writing and just putting things on paper. I also have this notebook that my daughter and I write, and she tells me at night about like things we want to remember from that day. Like, maybe sometimes it's like one little paragraph, but that feels really good. Then, you have to move the body, right? So when you're feeling disconnected, They're like the Pilates that I'm doing. Her name is Raven. I think it's like Pilates by Raven. My nutritionist was the one who recommended me to her. And she's awesome. And she's like so cute, but she's also so knowledgeable. I love doing her classes on YouTube. For you, it might be going on a walk or taking a dance class. Like, what are the things like dancing with your kids or dancing with your spouse or by yourself? Like what are the things that you can engage your body? The other one that I'm going to give you is this like neutral quiet time, right? Like you cannot be consuming all the time. It doesn't, if you think of like a Venn diagram of like consuming, neutral time, and creating, they all have to be balanced, right? And if you're constantly consuming and you're not creating or having quiet time, you're going to feel overwhelmed and anxious because everything that you're consuming, you're not doing anything with that information. And then can you do like little small experiments? Right? Like, what are these like mini projects of like, I'm going to buy, I mean, with my daughter, because she's, oh my God, she's going to be 3 in like 2 weeks, but, she's 2.5, 3. It's been so great because, they're at that age that they want to like paint and use glue. And we have like little painting projects and ceramics and things like that. But, if you don't have kids or whatever it is, like you may want to go to the store and get yourself like a box of Crayola, like clean white paper, maybe like markers, and like at Target, we've been getting these little sets that are like literally $5 that are like these wood shapes. We got dinosaurs last time, but there are all kinds. And then it comes with paint. So you can like paint these little things. There's all kinds of shapes at Target. There's like little ceramic kits that you can get. Like these little mini projects. Like one of my friends, she's like learning how to do gel nails. And she's like, oh my God, it's super complicated, like long process, but it keeps my mind and my hands busy for hours at a time. Maybe you want to start figuring out like how to do your makeup in a different way. Like you can take on these little projects that allow you to like re-spark creativity. Maybe once a week you're like, I'm going to bake something new once a week, and it's going to be a really fun like recipe that I've been wanting to try, whether you're cooking or baking. And this is something that I want to do once a week. Like I was making cookies for everybody in my building, and I brought some for my co-working space. And like those things are so fun. You may want to try like a new lipstick or something like that. Like it feels small, but they're really energizing, right? So those are certain things that you can start doing to begin to move energy when you're feeling disconnected. Now, the second part, like the second bucket I want to talk about is like taking action no matter what, right? And this is what like enter my 40-day ritual. 40 days might feel like a lot and overwhelming. So maybe you want to start with like 12, like or 14, I'm sorry, 2 weeks. Maybe you want to start with 7. I think 40 days is great. 40 days, it's a great solid cycle of commitment where you're going to experience resistance and wins and excitement and all the things, right? So when you're committing to this 40-day ritual, I'm going to impart the same guidelines that I got from my energy worker that I really liked, and then I added a few twists on my own. But think about the three part of creating, neutralizing, and eliminating, right? What do you want to create? What do you want to neutralize? And what do you want to eliminate? And that can be something that could support you in your creating this 40-day ritual. The other part that she had added that I actually think it's important to mention is that there are 4 layers of this, right? There's the emotional, the physical, the spiritual, and the mind. So when you have those 3 layers of eliminating, creating, and neutralizing, making sure that each of the 4 aspects are being touched. So with the mind, I'm eliminating scrolling, right? With the body, I'm adding creating with movement. With my emotions, I am meditating, I'm connecting with my higher self, and that is actually also touching the spirit. So it's a little bit of like pairing one to the other. Okay. The power of small, consistent steps, that's where creativity is gonna flourish with the momentum. I cannot tell you because I know that I get to do this routine every day, which I thought I was gonna do it first thing in the morning because I'm a morning person, but I don't know if because it's winter or the season in life, I do not want to wake up like at 4 a.m. like I used to last year. most of last year. So when I wake up in the morning, I might have like, maybe I wake up half an hour before Dylan Joy wakes up, and it's like a little bit of alone time. But I've been doing this routine when I come home. And the beautiful thing about it is that Dylan Joy has seen me do this routine. And now she's like, Mama, on the bus on our way home, she'll be like, Mama, are we going to work out when we get home? So it's really cute because I do my little Pilates on the mat. And then I found her, my husband and I have been finding her on YouTube, like Encanto. She loves Encanto, the Disney Encanto movie, or all these little workouts that are like interactive. So we roll out of her mat. I have my mat next to her. I do my Pilates. She does her little Encanto workout. And I just love being a model for her. I think working out and meditation is so important for any human being. So you're never too young to start. When I'm meditating, even though I tell her it's like mama time to have boundaries and I put my headphones on, she sometimes will lay next to me and read a book, which is like the sweetest thing in the whole world. So this routine, this 40-day routine, because I do it at the end of the day, has been such a holder of space for me. Like no matter what kind of day I have, I come home, it maybe takes me 45 minutes. So while my husband is making dinner, I'm doing that with her. And then we're getting ready to go to bed. And it just feels like it prepares me for a great night's sleep. It supports me if I get angry or annoyed or frustrating during the day. This structure and this commitment, it's such a safe space for me to, like, no matter what kind of day I have, I'm gonna come home and I have this safe, beautiful routine that I designed that works for me, right? So I highly suggest that you create this routine. Start with 40 days. It may last a lifetime. Maybe for you it's drawing, or if you're writing a book, which by the way, that's coming for me this year, but writing, drawing, working out, cooking, baking, uh uh, doing like bracelets, like if you want to do something with your hands, or like my friend was doing with her nails. Maybe there's like a pottery class you can go to, or I don't know, like whatever you need to do where it can hold you and support you and really be an anchor in your days. So we've talked about reconnecting with your creativity when you feel like you're disconnected, taking action, daily steps, no matter what. There's two other sections I want to talk about. And the next one is nourishing your creativity, right? It's so important to allow outside stimulus to nourish your creativity. So I know that, like, for me, I live in New York City. So any day of the week, I can walk into the Met or go into the MoMA or go into Central Park, or there's so many different places, or go to a coffee shop or a beautiful restaurant where it is giving me stimulation to nourish and ignite my creativity. So think about where you live, right? What are the places in your town, in your city, where you're like, I can go to my local library, or any of the things that I mentioned. Like anywhere you live, there are parks or beaches, there are mountains, there are restaurants, there are coffee shops, there are just like walking on the street, going to a concert, listening to live music, doing different workout classes, like allowing yourself to do something new as often as possible so you can have stimulus to enter into your body. And then making sure that every single day, right? And maybe you start once a week, but ideally every single day, you have neutral space. So for me, I got into the habit before I started my 40 days of, not always, but sometimes when I was walking, well, Dylan Joy was in the stroller and we were walking to the daycare or the co-working space or whatever in the morning, I would listen to a podcast, right? And like sometimes that's fine and that's great. But now I'm like, no, when and her and I are talking. I mean, now it's cold. So sometimes she cuddles up and she gets a little quiet, but I want that to be my neutral time. If I'm walking on the stroller, even though there's so many things around me because the city like has so much stimulus, I want to make sure that that's my neutral time. When I'm in the shower, obviously, that's my neutral time. I'm not, well, not obviously, because sometimes I do listen to music when I'm taking a shower, but I want to make sure that I'm not, right? Like there are certain times during the day that I'm like, this is completely neutral. And that's how you nourish your creativity, right? You immerse yourself in nature, in art, in books, in music. You allow yourself to absorb new ideas and experiences. Even this podcast to me is such a channel of creativity because I talk about the things that are fun. I don't censor myself. I'm not like, oh my God, it's been 20 minutes. I need to stop, or I need to do it this way. Or it's just like, it's going to come what comes. Right. I allow myself to show up and be creative and talk about whatever I want to talk about and interview the people that I find super interesting. So allowing yourself to take a look at your life and am I allowing myself to, am I designing a creative environment that is fostering inspiration, right? Even within your home and the things that you're wearing, right? Like, is my home always upside down and it like stifles my energy? Or do I make my bed? Do I put my clothes away? Do I do my dishes? Like the things that you're wearing, right? Like, am I cozy? Is it igniting creativity? Can I add color? The jewelry that you're wearing, right? Like decluttering your physical and mental space, your purse, your backpack, all those things are what contribute to our creativity being flowing and ignited and sparky and sparkling, or cluttered, clogged up, like right? Like that's those things are important for you to consider. So maybe take the next week or so and think about, what do I need to declutter in my life, and what can I incorporate to begin designing creative days in my life so I can nourish my creativity. So, okay, cool. So let's talk a little bit about ways that you can be more creative, that maybe are a little bit less common. I think a lot of times when we're thinking about creativity, we're thinking about literally painting or drawing or ceramics. I don't know, right? But you can have, let me talk a little bit about like different creative outlets. Like maybe you have entrepreneurial creativity, right? And that's like turning your hobby into a business idea or selling your jewelry on Etsy, right? Like that's one way of be creative. You can also be like creative in problem solving, right? So you have a problem or a challenge that you're experiencing in your life and you're like, all right, I'm gonna get creative around this. Like, what else can I do in order to get to my goal? Well, like I talk about it often in my private coaching sessions. Like, what other window can we open in your house to get in? Like, we're getting in the house, we're getting to the goal. What needs to happen in order for more windows to be opened, right? So even sometimes me as a business owner, I'm like, well, these are my services. Like I work with corporate or small business to do executive coaching. I have one-on-one private coaching. I have the Feminine Wealth Create Collective. Like those are all services that I offer. I have like the Joy Method and my Evergreen courses. What else? Like I want to make more money. I want to continue increasing my wealth. What else could I do? Right? Like, okay, that's creativity. Another really fun way to bring creativity and femininity together is like exploration of your sensuality, right? Sensuality is art, it's dance, it's baking, it's flirtiness, it's intuition, it's like softness. So maybe it's like, doing like a audit of your underwear drawer. Are you wearing underwear that have like holes and they're from like 5 years ago? Or can you buy all new underwear that makes you feel like super sexy and just like super confident in your body, right? So sensuality in your clothes that allows you to feel like feminine and empowered and confident versus wearing like sweatpants and sweaters and like oversized shirts. Like, yes, we love that and it's cozy, but can you be creative in what you wear that sort of like pumps you up? There is creativity through rituals, right? Like my 40-day ritual. That's such a way to be creative. And even though it's routine and I literally do the same thing every single day, it's creativity because I'm showing up for it. I'm here for it. I'm committing to it, right? You can also, and this is something that I actually want to do, and I'm actually signing up for a class. There is a class to learn how to like arrange flowers, right? Maybe there's creativity in creating your vision board. So I recently updated my background on my phone, which is obviously a vision board, and I added new pictures and I updated the colors and the fonts, and I love it. That's creativity. There's also creativity in your art of storytelling. So I was talking about being creative through my podcast. Maybe you also want to start a podcast, right? And if you say there's a million podcasts, I would challenge you and tell you there's not a podcast that you have done. So the podcast with your voice and your energy has not yet been done, and we need you. Maybe you want to write a blog or write a book, or maybe you just want to write for you. Like I have a friend that writes haikus. I can never pronounce. And she writes it for herself every single day. And every once in a while, which I feel it's such magic, she'll send it to me. And they're beautiful. And she does it every single day because that's what makes her happy. And that's creativity. So hopefully these ideas will spark some creativity for you to say, like, yes, this is my time to be creative and commit to something and make creativity a priority in my life, right? Not think that creativity is just going to come all the time, but think about the energy of creativity. And I talk about this inside the Joy Method, one of my courses, which, by the way, you can purchase it at any time. It's in my website. It's a self-paced course. But I talk about Señorita Dinero, which is like Miss Money, because there's like a whole module on money and money mindset. But I talk about Señorita Dinero, and I'm like, listen, if you want more money to come in, are you making space in your life for money, right? What is your relationship with money? Are you welcoming her in with like a glass of wine and chips and guac, and you're like, let's cuddle up? Or are you like, oh, money sucks, I never have enough money, and all these things. Side note, one of my past Joy Method members sent me a picture she sent me a direct message the other day on Instagram, and she's like, Steph, look at this. Talk about being creative. Look at this drawing that I did of Señorita Dinero. And oh my gosh, I loved it so much. So, anyways, there is the energy of creativity, right? Are you making it cozy for creativity to knock on your door, right? Are you like, yes, I'm making space, I'm going on walks, I'm moving my body, I'm cooking, I'm taking art, I'm writing every day, like I'm making space for you to come into my life? Or are you like booked, packed day to day, you don't have time for anything, you're barely eating? Creativity ain't coming knocking on your door if you are filling every single drawer in your so-called house and room, and there's no space for that, right? So open up space, commit to neutral, consuming, when you're not consuming, and allow and create a routine that you're showing up for creativity, right? Creative power is such an essential tool of building wealth, of building feminine wealth and achieving your ambitions, because that's what's going to spark. And you're going to be like, oh, let me call these 401k companies and see if I have money. Or, hey, let me send a proposal to this person I've been wanting to work with because I know that what I have to offer, they definitely need. Or let me talk to my manager and tell them that I'm ready to get a promotion. And this is a path or a project that I'm willing to take on to let them know that I'm ready for that promotion, right? So I love for you to commit to one small creative act every single day, right? If you're doing this and you want to be public and have fun with it, tag me at Stephanie Rousseau on Instagram. I want to cheer you on. I want to motivate you. I want to be like, yes, we're taking on creativity as a community, right? We are supporting each other and taking on creativity and allowing creativity to be an area of expansion for us and wealth. So having said that, I hope that you loved today's episode. I want to welcome you to join me this month and every month inside the Feminine Wealth Collective. This month, we are meeting it's at the end of February. I will post it on the show notes. And and it'll be our live call. We have a live call every single month. You have access to all past calls, and we're going to go in depth when it comes to creativity, right? You're going to figure out what is your 40-day ritual, what is your creativity ritual, how do you rearrange and you reorganize your life in order to make space for creativity. This is an essential pillar of feminine wealth. And I think now more than ever, it is our responsibility to be great steward and stewardess for creativity, right? Like it starts with us. So go enroll. You can cancel at any time. It's $88 a month, and it's like the only membership that really combines your goals, your ambition, your intuition with wealth, right? On feminine wealth, because we're going from like forcing things to flowing things. We're going to start hustling and try to make things happen to allowing things to happen, because we're going to live life from our feminine wealth energy, right? How beautiful, how powerful, how magnetic. If you love this episode and you want to share with a friend, please share. I love for more people to hear about it. I'm also going to ask, if you're loving the episodes, leave a review on whichever platform you're listening. Those are always so helpful. And I will come back next week with a brand new episode. Thank you again for listening. Have an incredible week. May you follow your joy always and in all ways. Take care, my friends.